Okay, class, we are in the Prashna Parabhi. Okay, so let's take a look to the previous lesson. Okay, please off the mic. Okay, in previous lesson, we are in the verse number 161. The direct realization of enlightenment comes from the practice, and practice comes from thinking and learning. Virtues, friends, and further learning are to be relied on for the development of wisdom. Okay, class, basically, once we talk about the wisdom, they must come to, in Cantonese we call man si sao, meaning to say you have to listen to the Dharma, si mean thinking, according to the translation. And finally is the practice. Okay, where do you learn, where do you get the knowledge? Is from a good friend. Okay, because 1,000 years ago, especially once, especially the character, the character haven't been created. The moment the era which the character haven't been created, so everything is transmitted verbally. So that's why a good friend is very important. So you listen to the Dharma, you understand, then from the knowledge you convert to the experience. Okay, so you need a samadhi, which is fourth jhana. So the fourth jhana, you integrate with your knowledge, then you transfer, then you transform the knowledge to the experience. Okay, so that is, we call it as a thinking. It's the thinking doesn't mean that you just try to think, analyze it. No, it's not the definition of. But of course, the translation, they can hardly find a better word, so they use thinking, which is literally translate from the Chinese. Okay, so maybe we try to refer back to Pali to you, which is more accurate. Okay, so let's take a look. So let me give you the more accurate. Okay, let me try to check for you the English, I don't know, the Pali or Sanskrit, which is more accurate. Okay, well, listening is a Strutamayi Prashnya. And then second, the thinking, which is not accurately translated, is a Cintamayi Prashnya. Then Bhavana is the practice. Bhavana Mayi Prashnya. Okay, so class, can you please write down this three? So just be more, take more cautious to the Cintamayi Prashnya. Okay, finish. Sally, finish copying, Mr. Leong? Yes, okay. Oh, okay, Mr. Leong haven't finished. Okay, finish. Okay, great. Yes, any question? Yeah, Elena, please.
So Suratamayi is what? Listening, is it? Listening, thinking?
Yeah. Okay, the Strutamayi is the listening. Okay, thinking is the Cintamayi Prashnya. Okay, practice is the Bhavana Mayi Prashnya. Okay.
Thank you, Sipu.
Okay, welcome. So just if possible, you got opportunity can ask again and further clarify the Cintamayi Prashnya to get a better accurate, the definition for the Cintamayi. Okay, let's take a look. Now we go to the original text. So this is from the previous lesson. Okay. Okay, in previous lesson, we mentioned that the three current knowledge ordinarily described together are as follow. The prajna of truth, we call it extraordinary prajna, is the wisdom that comes from the direct realization. Basically, direct realization means to the bhavana. So meaning to say that you experience it directly. Like a jhana, you meditate, you direct feel, experience the jhana. Nibbana also, you immediately you know it. Or we call it as a direct knowledge. Basically, this is the words they use, direct knowledge. Why? Because sometimes the people they you see, class, the character, okay, how should I put it? Okay, I'm telling you all Nibbana. Okay, so you know that. So verbally, okay, I pronounce Nibbana. Then you know, oh, this is Nibbana. Okay, then you should aim for a Nibbana. Okay, but now people they might be over particular to the words, the character. Okay, so in that case, it is. Do you think it is a good idea that I polish all the language, polish all the words, so that people won't over attach to the character, to the language? Sally, do you think so? It is a good idea. Yes, sir. How about Elena? Do you think it is a good idea to polish all the language so that people will attach to the language? You think so? Okay. Okay. If you polish all the language, so how can I tell you what is the Nibbana? Am I right? If without in the language, okay, I see you, I stare at you. How can I make you understand that you should target Nibbana? So that's why in Jing Gang Jing, you know, the Dharma Sutra mentioned, it say, once you need a boat to bring you to the other shore. Once you reach the shore, then you have to kick out the boat. But before you reach that, you need a boat. Am I right? Language is something like that. But the more common analogies is the finger to pinpoint the moon, you see. We need a finger to pinpoint the moon. Then I said, Sally, see the moon. Then from my finger, you will see all the moon, all right? But if I don't have a finger, then what I can't use anything to pinpoint the moon for you. Then you would never go to see the moon. Do you understand? Not? So meaning to say that the language itself or the words itself, they are tools, you know. But the problem is later on, people just over attach to the language. They keep on do the research. They keep on do the study. They keep on play with the words, but without really go to the practice. That is the disadvantage. So that's why in ERT, I don't really encourage you go to do academic study. So after certain knowledge you gain, you should go to practice already. So that because it's supposed to be this way, but of course this is a comparative situation. For some people, for some school, they directly because they over worry to the language, so total they don't study in the sutra. So that just really depends on the teacher. From their perspective, they thought we are overindulged in the language and the academic. They might think in this way, you know. But for us, the way we see the university lecturer, or maybe they are overplaying with the language already. Every day with the academic study, with the words, with the definition, you see. So meaning to say that how serious we are overindulged in the language, that is a comparative, comparative study. Okay, yeah, Mr. Leong, any questions?
We are so much attached to what you call knowledge or study that we have lost our telepathic skills.
But if we don't have, then what to direct you? You know what I mean? Yeah, you need a book.
It is because of the human society system that we are engrossed in this materialistic nature of living. That we forget our spirit.
Can you imagine, Mr. Leong, if let's say Tripitaka all disappeared, Okay, then you met me. How can I tell you what is the Sila Samadhi Panya? You know what I mean? We still knew the basic, right? The language itself is not, I mean, the knowledge and the language itself is not a sin. It's just, the problem is how to use it and who to use it. This is the problem. For some,
English is still true. But then the thing is, we have our inner telepathic skills. We are, even when we were young, but we were not trained to develop it to a developed state.
Oh, okay. I know.
We are too dependent on it.
Mr. Leong, you're off your camera. Better effect. Off your camera, please. Okay. Off your camera. Okay, Mr. Leong, you want to argue the point that the young people without the knowledge, they have a telepathic skill. Am I right? That's what you want to say, right?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, okay, not okay. Partial is due to this. Mr. Leong, I met some people who, for those, still can meditate very well, even though they are university graduate. So the problem is the young people, of course, undeniably, we say that sometimes the knowledge will be the obstacle, you see, but actually, not the knowledge itself is the obstacle. The greedy itself is the obstacle. Mr. Leong, you remember that after 12 years old, that is the adolescent growth stage, meaning to say that the sexual attraction begin, especially 12 years old. You have to remember that. Meaning to say that they start to understand the body start changing, hormones start changing. They start having attachment. This is why below 12 years old, they can attain telepathy easily, not solely because the knowledge is due to their physical and mentally change. You get what I mean, Mr. Leong?
I know what you're trying to say. The thing is, if you can develop this telepathic skill without this materialistic academic form, then we'll be more pure in the sense that we can communicate without even speaking.
No, the problem is, Mr. Leong, how can we begin? Like you see now, I'm using knowledge, you see or not? I'm trying, we are making use of the knowledge in order to guide you to the way of Buddhahood. You see, the whole textbook, how many pages? It's about 500 pages to tell you the things you see. This is still considered a basic thing only. If this 500 pages you don't have, how can I communicate with you? Actually, even Buddha himself also have to use the knowledge to communicate with us. This is the tools you need, Mr. Leong. This is the tools, If you don't have the tools, how can we begin?
I understand what you're trying to say, but then we see animals like chimpanzee, gorilla, and all this. They do not have words to say, but then the thing is, they don't speak. They speak.
Yeah. The thing is, they cannot work for enlightenment. You know or not? The chimpanzee, dolphin, they are the animal, meaning to say that the more they can communicate is maybe this is the banana. Okay, I want to eat it. That's all on me. This is my lover. I want to fight with it. They are very primitive, But I can tell you that, Mr. Leong, they got a state called Nibbana. Okay, you can go to the Nibbana through Sila Samadhi Panya. I can tell you. Can you tell me how can a dolphin and chimpanzee, how can I communicate with them with this? Even though I tell them that even cannot understand. Even though I tell you, you still need time to understand, you see. Even if we want to learn, they got 500 pages for us to learn, you see. So meaning to say that this is still a very basic thing, you see. Meaning to say this 500 pages is still a very basic thing only. If we don't have the 500 pages, then how can I make you understand all the condensed from the books, from the way to Buddhahood, am I right? That's the book. So meaning to say that the knowledge itself is not the problem. The problem is who used the knowledge, how to use the knowledge. That is the problem. Elena, agree? You want to protect?
Accordingly, for me, I think because all sentience has a Buddha nature, any sentient being that have a Buddha nature can be enlightened.
I know that. So you see why, Mr. Leong, you still stay back want to learn because you notice that. Okay, so you see, Mr. Leong, why you still stay back to learn? Is that the case? You are staying back, meaning to say that you want to gain more knowledge. So why do you still continue to stay back in this class?
this is the era that we need to use knowledge to improve our knowledge.
Oh, no, Mr. Leong, even though not this era only, even though 2,000 years ago, they still need the knowledge, but before the creation of the knowledge, they just pass by, transmits verbally only. So that's why at that time they keep on remember all the Dharma, the Sutra. It's the same only actually, Mr. Leong, we still need the knowledge, you know, to guide us, you see. So now, I still can tell you who can really meditate very well, even though they are knowledgeable. Still, it is not an obstacle. Knowledge itself is not an obstacle, but some people, they're really misguided. They thought by just studying in the university, do research, itself is enlightenment already. Some they interpret in this way. I admit that, but not many. Not many. The basic knowledge, we still need that, right? Sally, do you agree? Oh, she agrees. Okay. Yeah. Well, this is a good topic. Actually, this controversy issue appeared in the Dharma over again, especially in the commentary. So hey, Mr. Leong, our conversation is very meaningful. Actually, what we argue here is really in the text, 1,000 years ago, in the Tapiposalona, Mahavipasha Sutra. They really argue this point. Some they say we shouldn't have the language. Some say no, we need the language. Because they really found that people overplay the language already. The knowledge overplay. Especially Abhidhamma, You see, before the extinction of the Buddhism in India, there's many reasons is contributory to the extinction. One is over playful to the knowledge. Why? Because they keep on do the very nitty-gritty study until they neglect the real life problem in India, But the Hinduism really take good care, you just keep on do the study, and all the thing is very too difficult, and your thing is not practical. So finally, this thing, okay. I mean, adding other factor of the evasion of Muslim, okay, and also one is partially due to ourselves. Overplay the language already, overplay the knowledge. So that's why I always keep on remind myself that we must have many schools. Like we need the Tzu. They don't study much. They just go and do global protection. We need also Jing Zhong. They don't study much, but they chant Amitabha. We ourselves, I think, there's still need for us, even though some university the uni studies still need, because some texts is too difficult to understand. They need a lot of research in order to tell us what is the real meaning behind. I make full use of it, even though I don't involve in the tertiary education to the research, but I had to make full use of the research because like just now I mentioned, thinking is something wrong already. The knowledge from where one is listen, second is the thinking, third is the practice. So the thinking is not that good. So here, who can tell us the answer? Academic study. We need it. We use it as a tool, even though we don't involve. Okay, Mr. Leong, so you just take time to digest. Okay, and so next. Okay, now we go to the next paragraph. Okay, it's the being closed. So, Sally, can you please read it first?
Being close to virtuous friends and learning from them is definitely necessary, and both of these should be relied on for the development of wisdom. Learning involves more than knowing many terms. According to the Stravaka Dharma, learning about impermanence and non-existence of self is further learning. If one is 100 years old but does not understand the Dharma of existence and extinction, this long life is not worth much as living for only one day and being able to understand such a Dharma. In the Great Vehicle Dharma, learning entails understanding the emptiness that is neither created nor destroyed. As the Lankavatra Sutra teaches, only those who thoroughly understand this true meanings are good and knowledgeable people. Learning also involves in the 10 Ds associated with the Dharma: listening, reading, reciting, explaining. It also means understanding the meaning of Dharma in reliance upon the scriptures. Therefore, if one thinks that the wisdom that comes from learning is useless for the practice of prajna, one errs because this is not in accord with the Buddha Dharma. Although the wisdom that comes from hearing is only a beginning stage, one must rely on it to advance to the stages of thinking and practicing.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, class, let's take a look. This is being close to the virtue friend. Okay, so meaning to say that this is the continuation from the above paragraph. So this is close to the virtue's friend. Meaning to say that then once we close to the virtue friends, then we start the development of the wisdom. Okay, according to the Stravaka Dharma, learning about impermanence and the non-existence of cells is further learning. Okay, okay, class, can you check for me number 56? Okay, what is the reference? This is a very famous verse in our Dharma.
Fu fa zhang ying duan duan.
You seem speaking vulgar. Okay. Okay. Actually, I think Elena is just correct.
佛法藏因缘状.
Okay, 佛法藏因缘状. I know. But I think this we can get a very good reference, maybe from the Nikaya. Let me see. I think maybe Mr. Leong will know that what I mean. This is very famous actually verse.
Transmission of the causes and conditions concerning the equating of the Dharma treasure.
A way to Buddhahood. Let's see. The Google know us very well. Okay, Vimalakitini Desa. Living being for us a long life, Sarputra. Yeah, Mr. Leong, do you have any impression that there's one sutra very famous that it is meaningless for living 100 years without learning anicca dukkha anatta, but I live one day is more meaningful than you for 100 days. Mr. Leong, Do you have the impression for this sutra or not? Huh?
Yes, that's right. You got impression.
From where? Nikaya or what? Do you remember? Or from what? Tamabhadra, something like that, right?
I don't know. I have no idea.
But this is quite famous in Theravada, am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. So I can't really quote you because Google doesn't know what I want. Okay, Google doesn't know. Okay, so here. Okay, so since Google doesn't understand, never mind. So you just remember this佛法藏经啦, meaning to say that listen to the Dharma, but understanding a Dharma of existing and extinction is so important. Even one day is meaningful, better than you live for 100 years. Okay, let's take a look. You see, only those who thoroughly understand this true meaning are good and knowledge people. Okay, who thoroughly understand true meaning are good and knowledge people because they truly understand. So, Mr. Leong, you see, this is the sentence that we discussed before. So you see, the wisdom that comes from hearing is useless. One is because it is not in accordance with the Buddha Dharma. But anyway, hearing is the very beginning stage only. We need the beginning stage and advance to the thinking and practice. So always remember that. But there's one point. That's one point. A class, okay. Maybe you will ask, if that's the case, how long I should study? How many sutras I should study so that the knowledge is enough to do the vipassana? The answer is, as long as you finish the Abhidhamma, they will be enough already. For the present meditation, from the meditation, as we know now, meditation present for the present moment, the knowledge from the Abhidhamma is good enough for you to transfer the knowledge to the experience. It is something like that, Mr. Leong, please off your mic. Noisy, your mic, Mr. Leong. Okay, how do I say so? Class, it just okay. Do you remember that? Have you ever heard about that? Basically, nowadays, who graduate from university, maybe 90% of what they study is irrelevant with what they are working. Am I right? Sally, Elena, right? Okay, except maybe doctor and lawyer, right? Or accountancy. They will say, oh, maybe 60% from what I study is really relevant to what I work. Okay, so meaning to say that, how about the 90%? How about the 90%? But even though, for example, accountancy, they say, oh, yeah, what I study at SCCA, about 60%, I can use it up. But the problem is, before you study the SCCA, you must possess STPM or diploma in the first place. So before you get a diploma, you must go to SPM in the first place. So in SPM, you have to study the 9 subject, involve the language, mathematics, or whatever. You see or not, class? So meaning to say that you need something fundamental in order to get the knowledge which is useful for you. It's the same, even though Abhidhamma is very useful, but immediately if you go to study Abhidhamma, because the standard is above Form 6, you can hardly understand. You still need the way to Buddhahood as the basic for you, as a Form 5, as a basic for you, then you can go to study that subject. Then you can understand the knowledge, then you can use it for Vipassana. Okay, you get the point? Okay, but of course, this system is still too complicated. Maybe for any auntie, maybe auntie, uncle, wow, they found this too difficult. As they're still chanting a name will be enough for them. Or Buddha name is enough for them. But if let's say the Buddhism just remain as chanting a name only, this is not a very, very high standard religion. I can say so. So that's why now I lead you to see, well, there is the wide, this is the scope of the real Buddhism. It can be very wide and it can be deep and profound. See now. Okay, next. We go to the verse number 162. So Elena, can you please read it out, Elena?
162. Prajna is fundamentally non-dual. However, the practice varies because of people's different capacities. The sutras and treatises on prajna are the closest guide for the practitioners of prajna. The study of prajna as taught by the Buddha is a method that reveals the extraordinary nature of things based on dependent origination. Hearing, thinking, and practicing contemplation in reliance upon this method, one can attain direct realization. The content of prajna, the content of realization, is fundamentally non-dual and undifferentiated. That which is partially realized by all bodhisattvas and that which is completely realized by the Buddhas of the 10 directions is identical. Thus, it is said that bodhisattvas exhale through the same nostrils as the Buddhas of the 10 directions. So in expounding the teachings and in practicing the wisdom that comes from contemplation, there should be no difference. Yet, since sentient beings' fundamental capacities and preferences do differ, the Tathagata had to use skillful methods to suit them. Even in a single sutra, the understanding of the Dhamma and its use as an object of focus for developing wisdom are not exactly the same. There are greater or lesser differences, even in the sequences of practice. Through the transmission from teachers to students and the formation of different schools, the differences between them have become more and more pronounced. In fact, due to the differences in fundamental natures, Buddhist teachings are different explications to accord with different capacities. There are different understandings to be had from hearing the same discourse, different treatises on the same sutra, and so forth. What then should be the basis for expounding the Prajna Paramita? The founding teachers of Buddhism in China did have original understandings and practices, but overall they could not match the teachings of the Indian Bodhisattvas because the Indian scholar had fewer language differences between them and the Buddha Dhamma. There were many schools for the study of the great vehicle in India. The Madhya Makama tradition, transmitted by the Bodhisattva, Nagarjuna and the Aryadeva, and the Yogacara tradition, transmitted by the Bodhisattva Asanga and Vasubandhu, are the two great schools. Among these, Nagarjuna Bodhisattva expounded the contemplative wisdom of the nature of things being empty. Nagarjuna's teaching is more direct and concise because of his commentaries rely directly on the Prajna Sutras.
Okay, thank you so much. I just 3 paragraphs. Elena, have you read this paragraph? For example, Nagarjuna Tatsutulun, have you finished reading this paragraph?
No, Sifu, no.
No, until here. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Long there, they're gone already. So Sally finish? Okay. Okay, class. Basically, for this paragraph, what they try to mention is, okay, the enlightenment, or we call the nibbana, or the enlightenment, or the experience of the Buddha nature, is non-dualistic, meaning to say that this is a direct knowledge. Well, in order to achieve the direct, Tathagata already achieved the direct knowledge, but he noticed that in order to tell us, he has to use different way, because due to our different capacity, so he has to use a different way. Well, according to the author, since the author have gone through the commentary from Indian scholar and the Chinese scholar, and the author noticed that Indian scholar is more accurately in the understanding to the Buddhism. The reason is because the language problem. Because for Indian scholar, they are Indian, right? And then they know the Sanskrit very well. And also the Buddha himself also used the Sanskrit and also Pali during the expounding of the Dharma. Whereas when the sutra go to the Chinese translation itself, I mean, we somehow distort the meaning of the Buddhism, and yet the background of the Chinese, maybe we will use some of our Chinese culture, Taoism culture, and the language itself also very different. So it makes us, it ends up that the understanding. I mean, this is the reason why the author he more admire the working of the India scholar rather than the Chinese scholar. So this is what the author tried to emphasize in this paragraph. So here he tried to tell us a few important figures here. Let's take a look. You see, number one is the Madhyamaka tradition. There's two important people here, Nagarjuna and Aryadharma. So a class, please always remember these two people. Madhyamaka is one of the way to expound, to explain the wisdom of the Buddha Dharma. Okay. Then second school, we call it as a Yogacara. And the important figure are Asanga and Vasubandhu. So this is important figure. Here regards especially the Asanga and Vasubandhu. According to the legend, Asanga, he is the one in Ayodhya. According to the legendary, Asanga, he is staying in the Ayodhya, and from Ayodhya, he just using the Samadhi power and go up to the Tushita heaven. This is, where is it? The Ayodhya. So he go up to the Tushita, and then he met the Maitreya Buddha. He listened to the Yogacara Sutra from the Maitreya. Then he come down to the earth and he tried to expound the Dharma. And when Xuanzang traveled from China to India during 7th century, he get this sutra and he fully translate it to the Mandarin. We call it Yuchasidiran Yogacara Sutra. So that is the origin of the Yogacara Sutra. And this school is very important. And this school is famous for what? For the Alaya consciousness. Have you heard about Alaya? Yes. Yeah. So this is the school which use the Alaya consciousness to explain where do we keep our memory for the past many lives, and how do we carry the karma from this life to next life. He say, Alaya Vijnana, Alaya consciousness is just like a storage. So it's going to store all the memory and all the karma from one life to other life. So meaning to say, he used this way to explain how does the reincarnation take effects. Okay, so this is also a quite famous school. So this is from the Asankala. So one more figure is very famous is the Vasupandu. Vasupandu is the brother lah. Vasupandu is famous. Is the reason is he go to the Kashmir and learn the and learn one important the Abhidhamma. The name is Ta Pi Po Sa Lun Mahavipasaka Sastra. Go to learn this sutra. Yeah, this is the one. Abhidhamma Mahavipasha Sastra. Abhidhamma Mahavipasha Sastra. He is the compiler. He is the compiler for Vasupandu. This is about 200 volume. Is to represent. This is how to say. This is the signature. A signature sutra for Sarvastivada. It's very famous. And it is compiled in Kashmir. Whereas for this is Asanka, he is the one who compiled the Yogacara Bhumi Sastra, which is stated by, which is stated by Maitreya Buddha. Okay, now we go to further it. Okay. Are you able to copy down? Am I too fast? I'm too fast. I'm too fast, or you are able to copy down?
We are too slow. You are too.
Oh, okay. So I let you copy down. Let me show you all the text. Okay, so let's see. So Vasupandu, please copy down. He is famous for this Abhidhamma Mahavipasha Sastra. In Kashmir, the place is Kashmir. Okay, Vasupandu famous for this. Okay, finish, Sally. Okay, this is the the Abhidhamma in Sarvastivada. In Theravada, you never heard about that because Theravada, they have their own sastra. Sorry, just now I mentioned Vasupandu. He is famous to have, he's famous for his own creation of the commentary, which try to rebut Abhidhamma Mahavipasha Sastra. So the famous for the Vasupandu is this sutra. Let me tell you this. This is supposed to be this. This is the one. Yeah, Abhidhamma Kusabasha. This is the one. The author is the Vasupandu. This sutra, this sastra, he used it to rebut Mahavipasha Sastra just now. Meaning to say that he is opposing Sarvastivada for Vasupandu. He is opposing the Vasupandu. All involved is the politics. Yeah, Team A, Team B, all these things. Since Buddha, we will start splitting since the Parinibbana of the Shakyamuni. It happens everywhere, including Theravada. So this is the sutra which is famous for Vasupandu. He uses to deny the Mahavipasha Sastra. Mahavipasha Sastra is very authoritative and also is comprehensive of the Abhidhamma at that time. Very powerful. It's a signature of a Sarvastivada. Then one more I have to emphasize is regarding the Asanka. So for Asanka, he famous for this. Okay, we call it as Yogacara Bhumi Sastra. I can just write Yogacara Bhumi. This one, Yogachari Bhumi Sastra. this is okay. Asanga famous for the translate. Asanga famous for compiling this Yogacara Bhumi Sastra, you see. So treatise on the foundation of yoga practitioner is a large and influential doctrinal compendium associated with the North Indian Sanskritic Mahayana Buddhism. According to the outrage, it's a massive treatise that brings together a wealth of material stemming from mainstream as well as Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, Yogacara Bhumi Sastra, compiled by Asanga. Yes, any question? Yes.
What is the difference between Sastra and Sutra?
Oh, Sutra. Okay. Basically, Sastra is created by Buddha disciple. Sutra is created by Shakyamuni. It's stated by Shakyamuni himself. Sastra is it's the masterpiece by the Buddha disciple. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, what I mentioned all, they are partially translated in English. Okay. If you go to read through it, you will know. Okay. Basically, who are going to read this type of this type of sastra? I can say maybe academic study in Sri Lanka, university in Sri Lanka, university in the university throughout the world. If they establish the religious study department, they will start this type of thing. Okay, throughout the world. Japan, I think Japan is in my time. Japan is still playing the leading role for the academic study for this type of the sutra. Now also Sri Lanka, some university in Sri Lanka also they really can. Because since they can find the English version, they do some academic study upon it. Okay, next, let's take a look. Okay, so here's the figure. This is the introduction from Nagarjuna Madhyamaka school and also from Yogacara school. Okay, next paragraph. Maybe Mr. Leung, can you please try to read, for example?
Sifu, I think my reception here very poor, breaking down.
Okay, so Sally, your turn, please.
For example, Nagarjuna Tajidulun consists of extensive explanations of the Prajna Paramita Sutra. Nagarjuna's Mulyama Yamadakarika Sunyata Saptati Karika Yukti Saka. Oh my God. Vadasumaka Sastra Vigaha Varatani Paumanlun and so on, and the Arya Deva Satta Sastra are generally acknowledged to be treatises that rely on the Prajna Sutras in order to elaborate on the doctrine of empty nature of all things. With regard to both the understanding and the practice of the study of Prajna, the various sutras of the Prajna lineage and the various treatises of the sect that studies Nagarjuna can be said to be the closest guidance one can find. At this point, Prajna will be explained according to the guidance of these sutras and commentaries. At the end of this explanation, the characteristics of the three systems of the great vehicle and the way to integrate them will be discussed in detail.
Okay, thank you so much, Sally. Why don't you read English? You see, commentary on Christianity. I able to read this Sanskrit. But anyway, class, if you try to compare Taiwanese and us, you think who have an advantage in study the Sanskrit? We or them? We, right?
Taiwanese. Taiwanese.
You see just now, no matter how inaccurate you read Sally, but you're still able to pronounce it. You are using Bahasa Malaysia way, right? Actually, in the 7th century, you know, Yi Jing from China, he learned the Sanskrit in Java, you know. It proved that Sanskrit is the language which is popular at that time, you know. So it influenced the Bahasa Malaysia, Indonesia. And Bahasa Indonesia and Bahasa Malaysia, they are from one stream one. So that is why we got the advantage. You see, we can read it out, you know. Maybe not that accurate, but we get a feel. But for Taiwanese, they are 100% Mandarin. They can't. They even A-R-B-A-ba, they also cannot pronounce it. Okay, so Sally, be proud of yourself. Even though it is inaccurate. Be proud of your inaccuracy. Okay. So this is really Mandarin. It's a little bit difficult for you. So we highlight this one. Great Prajna Paramita Treatise. Okay, class, let's take a look. From here, we can just, I'm not expertise in Sanskrit and the language, but from here, they got some clues for us to learn a little bit here. Class, take a look. Once you see ta, zhi, tu, lun, right? When you listen to the words lun, the lun is treatise. Treatise means what? Treatise is the masterpiece by the Buddha disciple. It's not the Buddha himself. Okay, so you have to know that. So once you saw the word prajna, paramita, you know it's about the wisdom. Okay, then you see how. So he said, this is the great prajna paramita treatise. It's one of the extensive explanation of the Prajna Paramita Sutra. So Prajna Paramita Sutra, this is stated by Shakyamuni, but sometimes it is too simple, you know. Sutra itself is too simple. We need more explanation. So you see, treatise is the explanation for it. So you see the word extensive explanation. Okay, so Nagarjuna. Okay, then here is the middle treatise. Always once we heard about the middle, is about what? It's about the Madhyamaka. Okay, so always remember Madhyamaka has something to do with the middle. Okay, then let's take a look. Here we will see the Sunyata, right? Sunyata usually have something to do with the empty. Sunyata has something to do with the empty. And then treatise is something similar with the commentary. What the English different because the Sanskrit also is a different. Why? You see, let's take a look. So it's a commentary. it means the karika. So karika can be the commentary. Treatise is the lun, is the commentary also. So we can just roughly understand. And sastra also is what? Is the treatise. So class, remember, sastra also can be from the treatise. Lun is the Mandarin, is from the treatise. Okay. So all the sutra mentioned here is elaborate on the doctrine of the empty nature of all things. It's all about the empty nature. Okay. So what does mean the empty nature? Basically, it's the empty nature of the 5 aggregate. Where is the empty nature? If you are meditating, once we talk about the empty nature, you are very close to Nibbana already. Now, once we talk about the empty nature, so class. Then besides, let's take a look. Sorry. Then you see, prajna will be explained according to the guidance of this sutra and commentary. So meaning to say that once we talk about the emptiness, so the reference is from here. All these are the references to talk about the prajna. It's to talk about the prajna. Okay, and according to some academic study, the prajna mentioned from all the sutra and commentary has no much difference from the Nikaya, the emptiness in Nikaya, very similar. So that's why some people will try to do some coordination between the prajna in Nikaya and also in Nikaya and also in the treatise, in the Mahayana treatise. So there is a similarity, but Theravada, they don't accept it. They prefer quarrel that we are more origin. Why? Because most of the Mahayana Sutra was compiled about 1st century after Christ, whereas most of the Nikaya was compiled about 200 to 300 years ago, 200 to 300 years before Christ. So they insist that they are more origin. They prefer argue, they prefer market themselves its originality rather than the condense of the sutra itself. Okay, you get the point. Okay, so hopefully you know that, especially for Mr. Leong, because Mr. Leong used to go to Theravada. You can try to coordinate, let them understand, oh, actually we are from the same family, we should be united together. But I think this is quite hard to unite the Buddhism itself. There's only one place you can see the unity of the Buddhism throughout the world. Where is it, Elena? You are famous for traveling. What place you can see the great unison of all the Buddhism, no matter what school, what schism, they all unite together in one place to show the sincere to the Shakyamuni. Where is it? People will put down the difference.
India, where Buddha body tree there.
Yes, the proud Elena. Besides Bodhi Gaya, no place you can see the unison of the Shakya, of the Buddha disciple. Am I right, Elena? Or everybody have their own ways. Everybody have their own Buddha to embrace. Everybody have their own Dharma to embrace. Everybody have their own ways. Even though we talk about Buddha, right? Am I right? So that's why the only place you can see the unison, the great unity of the Buddhism is only in Bodhi Gaya. The rest, you can't see it. Okay. But I think since we embrace the spirit of the Shakyamuni, we don't usually criticize. Compared with other religions, we don't use weapon to conquer. The school different from us. We don't do that. So that is the point for us. Whereas some monotheism, they will use the weapon to conquer. Actually, they are the brother, from same God, but they cannot. They will use the weapon just to conquer. In the Middle East, there's more than millions of people died out of the religions in the Middle East. Elena, you know not? It's due to the monotheism. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Leong, you raised hand for twice already. Yeah, please tell me what you want to say.
Sifu, just now you says that this the great Prashna Paramita Sutra is by Sichamoni, Buddha. But then how come this Theravada tradition doesn't accept this as their as Buddha's teaching?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's due to the stubbornness to the originality. Okay. Why? Yeah, the stubbornness to the originality, because they are very emphasized on originality. Okay, Mr. Leong, let's take a look. So this is the map. Okay. Well, I should use the Mandarin. I should use the Mandarin for you. Easy for you. English. You need the English map now. Okay, yeah, Mr. Long, let's take a look. Let me tell you a little bit history. So that's why maybe we still have to study a little bit history, especially for Mr. Leong, to understand why, how come it happened like this, you see, this is an Indian. After Buddha Parinibbana, this is where is the Bihar. After Buddha Parinibbana is about 200, after Buddha Parinibbana, after 3 months, we start the first council. Then we have a second council, the third council. Why? Every time we conduct the council is to try to compile our Buddha Sutra, to make sure that the authenticity of the Buddhism study. So after the third council, all right, it's about 200 years from Shakyamuni Parinibbana. The split, the schism, we can find 20 schisms within Buddhism already. So in the third council, the King Asoka sent his son and his daughter, who are Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni at that time, come to the Sri Lanka. Okay, and the school we call it as a Timsa, which is the Theravada today. So you see, it happens 100 years before Christ. So we need to say that they bring the Sangha who memorize all the Sutra and Abhidhamma and come down to Sri Lanka. And from here onward, it starts spreading to the Myanmar and Thailand until now today. But, okay, there's one school, we call it as a Savastivada. They move up here. They come to the Kashmir and Jammu and come to the Afghanistan, Pakistan. And some, they start to travel here. Especially in Andhra Pradesh here, this is where is the Mahayana start to develop. How do the Mahayana start to develop? Partially is from the other schism of the Buddhism. So people who come and learn here, then some they come to the Andhra Pradesh and start to have a new way thinking of the Mahayana. Why? Because the Savastivada, they start to make the Buddhism study more complicated and very technical, and it's very not conducive to the public. Finally, they come up with the Mahayana Sutras. Okay, some is from the idea are from Shakyamuni. Some is the Sastra, which is their own work. You see, so meaning to say that it happens is about 1st century of Christ. They compiled the sutra in the 1st century of Christ. But here, after Buddha Parinibbana, 200 years before the Christ, they already moved down here already. So Mahayana is a sutra developed in the Indian mainland itself after Buddha Parinibbana. For about 100 years after Buddha Parinibbana. So about 7th century, from 3rd century to from 1st century to this onwards, Chinese monks start to travel to the Indian. Okay, so they will bring back all this sutra, including the Mahaparamita, to the China. It's about which is beginning from the 4th century onwards. Okay, so meaning to say that in Theravada, they don't have the chances to accept the teaching of the Mahayana Sutra. Why? Because the Timsa is quite early from the history. they start to move to Sri Lanka and start to spread into Myanmar already. Whereas a Chinese monk, they come, is about 500 or 600 years late, after 500 or 600 years, and then they come to India. They are able to get the Mahayana Sutra, and then they bring it back to the China. So after the translation, okay, nowadays, we try to tell the Theravada that, oh, this is the Buddha teaching. They will thought that, oh, this is a Chinese invention. They don't accept it. But they don't know that according to the history, this is originally developed in India itself, and quite 100 years after Buddha Parinibbana. Okay, Mr. Leong, do you get an idea already?
Sifu, I didn't hear your explanation because it's breaking off. I can follow up with the
My voice already turned. Yeah, 我個聲都差唔多燒啊！啱先佢聽唔到啊，係咪應該捉佢嚟打啊？
I seek for your forgiveness because our reception is very poor today.
So sorry, I won't forgive you.
No,
Mr. Leong, you can listen to the recording later on. Okay, actually, I explained this for n+1 times already. Am I right, Sally? I explained this for n+1 times already, right? So whereas the n is the incalculable and forgetful number.
See, for another question I'd like to ask is, how does this Diamond Lotus Sutra and this Lotus Sutra, Diamond Sutra, and the Heart Sutra comes into play?
Sally, do you think shall I answer him? After I answered, then he said, the voice is breaking and I didn't hear about it.
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
He keep on asking the question about the very bad Wi-Fi. Then after I long explained, he said, oh, sorry, I didn't hear about it. Shall I punch him?
I can follow with your download.
Yeah, you have to download. Okay. So Mr. Leong, your question is, where is the Lotus Sutra, Diamond Sutra that come from? Am I right? This one you try to ask, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, Mr. Leong, basically, according to the history of Buddhism, we discovered the Lotus Sutra and the Diamond Sutra, especially Lotus Sutra is compiled, it's not in Bihar, but it is compiled in here, Jammu and Kashmir. Diamond Sutra, we believe that it is originated from the Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so there's one school, we call it of the Mahayana.
Okay.
They start to travel to this part of India, and from here they try to move up here, and then they make the Mahayana school popular here. So that's why finally they discover the Sutra of the Mahayana is in the Kashmir and Jammu. Okay. So all this happened is about 100 years after Buddha Parinibbana. Okay, do you hear me? Oh, you will say that the sound is breaking and the Wi-Fi is bad.
Okay, thank you, Sifu.
Yeah. Yeah. You should say thank you for 1,000 times. Okay, so we further next. Not chapter 20. So from here we get something. Then the contemplation of the two truths. Yes. Okay, whose turn? Elena, your turn, please.
Thank you, Sifu, 1,000 times.
Okay. Amen. Okay, yes, please.
The contemplation of the two truths. Verse 163. All Buddhas following the two truths teach sentient beings the Dhamma. Following the conventional truth, one can attain the ultimate truth. Following the ultimate truth, one can attain liberation. The teachings of all Buddhas rely on the two truths to teach sentient beings the Dhamma. The two truths are ordinary worldly truth and extraordinary truth, also known as conventional truth and ultimate truth. This doctrine of two truths is an important entrance to the right contemplation of prajna. Sentient beings, their bodies and mind, along with everything that exists relative to sentient beings, are generally thought of as real things. In people's mind, matter is real matter, and spirit is real spirit. Every Dhamma has certain physical, biological, and mental relationships of cause and effect. As a result of existence of this relationship, one can discover the structure of matter, the functioning of the body and mind, and the organization of families and countries. These facts are generally acknowledged as real. This world of common sense knowledge is called ordinary truth. Ordinary truth includes simple and obvious things such as materials like wood and rocks that everyone can see. It also includes difficult and obscure things such as atoms and electrons, which can be detected only by scientific instruments. Likewise, everyone knows about this present life, but past life and future lives can be seen only by the divine eye. Although dhammas vary from simple to difficult, they are all types of knowledge. The three realms, the six transmigratory states, the five aggregates, the six sense organs, the afflictions, karma, suffering, and so on, that were taught by the Buddha are all explanations of ordinary truth.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, finish, Sally. Okay, now we go to the two truths. One is the ultimate truth, one is the conventional truth. Do you know or not? Erti vihara, erti means two truth. This is the meaning of the erti is exactly the two truth. Do you realize that or not actually? Yes, that's true. Why I name my temple as Erdi is due to the idea of the two truth. Because two truth can include everything, you see now. Okay, okay. Basically, Sally, have you ever skeptical that the world you are in is not real, it's a dream? Have you ever realized that or not? Have you ever skeptical over it? The world you are living is a dream.
How to
I think before we learning Buddhism, we never skeptical, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so real, right? Oh, so first time you get the salary, you feel so happy. Or Elena, you go to travel Egypt, the whole world. The feeling is no, the feeling is so real. Everything is so good. We never skeptical over it. But once we study the Dharma, then about the Heart Sutra, Brahma Sutra, then they start the sutra mentioned that, oh, the way you are living is not the real one. Then we start to think, really? But I never skeptical over it. Am I right? Right? Not. We start to skeptical is due to the sutra, the Dharma study, all these things, you see. Well, that's true. Because from the perspective of the sages, they realize that this is a dream, you know. Because the sages, they are always in the ultimate truth. But we are in the conventional truth. The conventional truth is the truth, but the truth itself is, if compared with the ultimate truth, it's not that true, you know. Oh, so that's why, even though we are in the dream, it's the same, you know. Okay, Elena, if let's say in a dream, you have been chased by the tiger, will you run? In the dream, you will run, right? If in a dream you are hungry, are you going to eat? Yes, you see, even though it is a dream itself, but everything is so real, we will act accordingly. Well, same. Now, even though we are in the conventional truth, but we will still act accordingly. So now we are in the 6th realm for reincarnation. Then Shakyamuni tried to tell us we see all the rock, the rule, 4 season rules and regulation, and then maybe we use some scientific instrument. We see the atom or molecule, all this. And we talk about the 6 fire aggregates, the 6 skandha, everything. Anyway, all is still considered as conventional truth. Okay. So how about the ultimate truth? So in next chapter, next time I met you, then you will talk about the ultimate truth. Okay. So I will see you